welcome back to 9 Yards TV, brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate. I'm Refilwe, your host, and today we'll be discussing the basic principles of running a business. From accounting and insurance to tax, as well as trademarks, there are certain things that as a business owner you simply cannot avoid. So let's pull our heads out of the sand, let's get our hands dirty and have this conversation, because that income tax return will not file itself. I'm joined today by entrepreneurs Yolanda, Dlamini and Thapi Montsho of Why Cook, and our expert Jikku Joseph of 227. We're all ready to have this tough conversation. Our coffees are hot. How are you all this morning?
We well, thanks, and yourself?
Fabulous. Jikku, are you well this morning?
Very well, thanks, Refilwe.
Yolanda and Thapi, let's begin with you. Tell us about Why Cook.
Hi. Why Cook is a catering business, and we've now branched into owning a studio. We teach people how to cook, and we have the catering business.
Well, there's a lot more to a catering business than just making food, right? So how did you adjust to having to take care of the nuts and bolts, the basics, the bread and butter of business?
Because of COVID, we were heavily affected within the catering business. We actually split our roles where Yolanda is more operational and I'm more business driven. So I do business development, look after the finances, and Yolanda would make sure that the daily operations are on track.
And what does that entail when you say daily operations? I mean, is that your spending, or is that, for example, procurement of what goes into the food? And how do you manage that with the studio?
We basically focus on things like staff, when do staff come in, what they do when they get here, coordinating the driver, coordinating the orders, making sure suppliers have delivered the ingredients.
So you've got a lot of moving parts in the business. What would you say are your biggest challenges that you face in terms of keeping your tabs on the actual basics?
We needed to learn that we always need to have cash in order to do the business, but you need to make sure that you have money in our bank account so that any project that comes through, you're able to execute it. And you don't want to keep on loaning or borrowing money, you know? You need to get to a place where your business is so sustainable and is so fluid that you're able to run properly.
All right, I'm glad to hear that. Get your money, ladies. Let's turn our attention then to our experts. Jikku, I'd like for you to join the conversation now. What you're hearing here, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with as a person who helps people managing their wealth. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what 227 actually does?
Hi, Refilwe. Hi, Thapi and Yolanda. 227 is a free money management app. We help South Africans transform the relationship they have with their money by allowing you to see all your money in one place. And then we also encourage you to do more with your money. You know, spend it more wisely, save more, pay down your debt, and grow your wealth over time.
You were clearly affirmed by what you were hearing from Yolanda and Thapi a little earlier, just matching management of wealth to how they're managing their business, their aha moments. Is there anything there that sounds familiar?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially the point around cash flow management, right? As small businesses, most small businesses are grappling with the most important problem for the business, which is, are we building a product or service that is actually solving a need for our customers? And when we're doing that, we overlook a fundamental requirement, which is cash flow management. We need to make sure there's enough money in the bank account so that we can keep the business running up until the point where we get to that, you can call it that turning point where the business really starts to take off. And if you don't manage that cash flow well enough, the business will close before you get to that point. And I'm sure we've all seen those safety demonstration videos at the beginning of a flight when you're about to take off. And they show you the video where they say, put the oxygen on your own mask before you put the oxygen on your child's. And if you think about oxygen, in this case, cash flow for a small business is your oxygen. If you run out of your cash flow before you solve the problem for your customer, your business will fail.
Let's talk about those problems. 89% of businesses, small businesses, fail within the first year or two of their inception. What would you say are the big mistakes?
We know that plans are always dynamic. They always change. So the business plan is not supposed to be set in stone. But having a plan allows you to keep yourself accountable to a set of numbers that you originally said you would spend against, right? So most times businesses don't have that initial plan and they're not tracking the progress towards that initial plan, right? So as you progress during the course of practice in the practical context, how are you performing relative to that plan you had up front? And how are you modifying that plan for how things will transpire over the next steps of your business?
Right? You have to stick to your knitting. You have to do the boring stuff. You have to keep the books in order to survive as a business. You can't just be a maverick. You are Mavericks, ladies. You've been in business as Mavericks since 2014. What do you wish you had known back then that you do know now, as Jikku's giving us some insight?
A lot of businesses, we focus on making the money, but actually operation efficiency will equal financial success. So if your operations are good, if you know your margins, if you know your weighing and scaling of your food, and you get that right, then your finances get better. And with operations, you're able to monitor as you go. But financially, you need to wait for the statement. Financially, you need to make the mistake first, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I just wasted R1 million, you know? But with operations, you're actually able to track as you go, step by step. Is it right? With one client, you can already see if you're going well or not. So it starts first with your operations that affect your financial aspect.
Can you tell who's doing a PhD here?
Okay. So, Jikku, I think I struggle with if I'm just starting out with a business, right? So you guys are talking about how I must spend my money, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get money through the door. Jikku, I'd love to hear the advice after what we heard from the ladies about what you would say to any entrepreneur kicking off in business. What are the 3 areas that they need to pay attention to?
Make sure you are spending the right amount of money at the right time, right? It's easier said than done. I've seen businesses spend way too much too early, especially before they've confirmed that they're solving a real problem for their customers. So spend the right amount of money at the right time. The second thing is recruit. Recruit the right people at the beginning. It's great to see that Yolanda and Thapi are working together. Your co-founder on day one is your most important hire. Being an entrepreneur is a very lonely undertaking with many difficult times, ups and downs. And having a co-founder who's as equally passionate as you are is crucial. And then also, get learning. Get out there, get your feedback from your customers as quickly and as cheaply as possible by sharing your idea with as many of your potential customers and stakeholders as you can, so that you can get feedback at such a low cost, which allows you to save a lot of your funds to then scale the product that you've identified will win in the market.
So spend appropriately, hire appropriately, and learn appropriately. Those are really powerful lessons, and I feel as though you ladies are the embodiment of all 3. Thank you so much for that conversation. That's obviously from Yolanda, Dlamini, and Thapi Montsho of Why Cook, as well as Jikku Joseph of 22/7. I'm so grateful for all 3 of your insights this morning, talking about the basic principles in business. Have a wonderful day. That's all the time we have on this episode of 9 Yards TV, brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate, helping entrepreneurs to go the distance. If you're a small business owner and are looking for advice, tips, and some help on your entrepreneurial journey, be sure to click like and subscribe below, and we'll catch you next time.
Need funding to grow your business? SME Go helps you to reach several funders with one application. Find out more at smego.co.za.